Well, hello everyone. This is Michael Wojcik with another Rochester City Council update. I gotta say, this has been a while coming. It's been a busy month for me. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of things, and this is going to be longer and more boring to watch than most of these things are. Just want to run through some highlights of the month and kind of let you know what it's like a month being on the City Council. The reason you haven't seen much from me this month is just how busy I've been. Um, First City Council, the meeting was on July 1st, and the only thing of real significance coming out of there, we created a salary commission. I think the salary commission is a cop out, and it goes to the fact that it's always an awkward thing when you're an elected official when you're deciding what to pay an elected official. Um, the way I see it is that I work 40 to 55 hours on city council stuff every single week, and I can put my credentials and qualifications on, and there's no possible rate that I'm going to be paid on the city council that's going to be inappropriate for my qualifications and what I do for the city. That said, we understand we're under the microscope. There's some fiscal responsibility aspects. Some people are more comfortable with an independent group recommending our salaries. What it comes down to is this. Typically, everyone that serves on the city council, they have a lot of things in common. They're almost always white. They're almost always old. Oftentimes, they're retired. And they're almost always wealthier than the median income in the community. What does that mean? Sure, we get some people who fit those categories, but are we denying people in our community the opportunity to serve and bring different voices into the discussion? My belief is that yes, we are, and I know it's not going to ever be a popular thing with the public, but I'm willing to pay what these positions need to be because ultimately, when you're a first-class city like we are in a growing city, do you want career bureaucrats making the tough decisions, or do you want people in the community making the decisions? So I've always been aware that it's never going to be a popular position, but quite frankly, I'm willing to compensate these positions, and I know it's going to make some people uncomfortable, but and it was a split vote on this, but I'm happy with it. We just had a Ward 5 race with a lot of good and well qualified people in there. At the same time, we had 7 people who were you know, older than the median age in the community, and I think every single one of them was white, every single one of them was male, and there's a lot more diversity in the community than we typically see in our elected bodies and our governmental bodies, and I think that is an issue. Um, Moving on to some other issues, the Uptown project is in full swing right now. I've been down there a couple times. I've gone down there, talked to staff, asked them lots of questions, or talked to the contractor. And at one point, I was asking him a lot of questions about when I'd be able to get some access open for businesses. And finally stopped and said, "Who are you?" And oh, just an interested party, I guess. Um, Good news is it's going well. Most of the hardscape and the difficult area is going to be done this year. There's going to be a lot of finishing touches and some additional work done next year. It's a huge project. I'm really hoping to transform the area. I know there's been some consternation, some frustration about the process, and what we achieved and what we decided on was a compromise. It's not everyone's going to be happy, but we did the best that we could for the most people, and I think that we're going to transform this area for the better in the long run. Um, Fox Hill Villas also came forward, which is, I guess, near and dear to me. The lobbyists in my household had some things to say about that as well. But basically, it was approved. This is basically right across the park from where I live. And Michael Young is the person who's doing this particular, I'm sorry, not Michael Young, Mark Hanson's doing this development along with John Klopp. They have a history of doing a lot of really good work in our community. And I think that despite some initial concerns, the hearing went pretty smooth. A couple things that were points of contention were things dealing with the drainage, things dealing with access to work on drainages, and also some sidewalk considerations. I had heard from some neighbors that it was very important that they had safe pedestrian routes for kids in the area, particularly since there was a heavily used park right there, and it wasn't necessarily a smooth process. But with the exception of Council Member Bruce Snyder, everybody did end up supporting having safe sidewalks for kids in that area. So we were able to accomplish that. And I mean, even the developers were a little bit uneasy about the process, but ultimately they got through the process one and done. So I'm looking forward to more success for Mark Hansen and his team because they've done some wonderful work. I took a chance on Orchard Hills Villas, and those folks made me look really good. So I'm very happy with that. Um, In addition, we were going to discuss the fifth on fifth proposal, but the neighborhood correctly pointed out some irregularities in the way that staff was handling this, and I think that if we had had to discuss it, it probably would have had to have been shot down because of some technicalities. So the developer pulled that back and is reworking a couple things, and that should be coming forward to the council next month as well. You might have seen that I know in one of my neighborhoods, in the southwest, they've lost a lot of street trees. We have a lot of damage from the storms this year, and it's been a real difficult thing to see so many beautiful trees going down. I know I'm taking a lot of heat from people, but I do appreciate staff, particularly Jacob Rigg, taking the extra time to go out there and talk with people and explain there's a very good reason why some of these trees are coming down. And it's hard when you see a beautiful tree in your neighborhood coming down and a bare space there afterwards. But the good thing I can tell you is for the first time in many years, we're actually planting more trees every year than we're taking down. The huge gap that was created for decades, in large part because of our boulevard street tree policy we put in place, it's making a difference, and we're restoring the urban canopy in Rochester, and that was a long time coming. Those were some of the key things that happen in city council meetings, but some of you know that I do a lot of stuff outside of the city council meetings with other groups, and I try and be involved on the issues that I really care about. And, from my background, it's things like affordable housing, quality transportation, sustainable development for now and on into the future. And when I say sustainable, it's environmentally sustainable, but also financially and economically sustainable as well. And I think we're doing better and better with all three of those legs of sustainability in the city of Rochester. I'm in a group planning for a housing summit here in Rochester, and I think that's going to be a tremendous thing for the community. We're hoping to bring together interested parties in the community and developers and figure out how we're going to take our existing community and meet the housing needs of the future. And there's a lot of moving parts to that, but that's going to be in October, and I'm very pleased to be working with the county and Commissioner Paul Wilson in particular to help figure out how we can make this a success, and not just have a meeting and feel good about ourselves having the meeting, but actually take some meaningful policy back to the city and the county after that, and really make a difference in the lives of people in this community. 27% of people in our community can't afford housing in this community, and I think people sometimes forget about that. I do remember that, and I know that affordable housing, workforce housing is a huge thing. It's a huge need in this community, and we can do better. We also have started the process of working on a new comp plan. I also serve on the Planning Services Advisory Committee, and as part of that group, I'm going to be responsible for a couple of big things coming up, not the least of which is replacing Phil Wheeler, who I believe has been the planning director for 163 years now. And it's going to be a big change when we lose him. We're going to miss Phil, and we're going to miss his wry sense of humor and his unending use of statistics, which bores most of the population, but I always get excited about that stuff. But we're also looking to contract and start a comprehensive plan revision for the entire community. Our last full comprehensive plan revision was 1979. I like to say that process started before I was born, so it's probably about time to revisit that process, and we're doing that as part of the DMC initiative. It's the belief of the community that we're going to, of the city, that we're going to use the $20 million that was set aside for sales tax dollars in the referendum. That part of that's going to be funding and updated to our comprehensive plan to make sure that DMC is consistent with the future needs of the community and something that's going to benefit all parties here as well. And it's needed, it's overdue, and I'm very happy to be part of guiding that process and talking about some of the things important to me, particularly housing options and quality transit. I also serve on the National League of Cities Community and Economic Development Board, and I'm very proud to tell you all that this group of national leaders in the area of community and economic development have chosen Rochester for the next meeting. So I'm going to be bringing some of the best and brightest minds as elected officials in community and economic development here to Rochester this fall. And I'm really hoping to get some quality feedback from them on just what our community is doing great and what we can do better. You know that we just had a special election for Ward 5. Mark Hickey, who worked his butt off, and what maybe some of you didn't see is beforehand he was going in and meeting with all the different department heads and really understanding the department, so he wasn't just talking in a vacuum. He actually understood the needs of the city. Can't say enough good things about how he ran his campaign, and apparently the public agreed with that because he got 48% in a seven-way race in the first time. Now, because we have been dragging our feet on ranked choice voting and haven't kept up with Minneapolis and St. Paul, we have to take the ridiculous step of having another election. Even though the first place person got 48%, the second place person got 19%, and the second place person was had much better name recognition. It's ridiculous that we have another election. There might be some loopholes that let us potentially get away with that, get away from that election if the person who came in second place were to concede. But anyways, Mark Hickey is going to be the next councilman from Ward 5, and I think he's going to do a tremendous job. I'm not just saying that because he goes to church with me and he's an old IBM engineer like I used to be. He's somebody that the community should be proud of, and I think just the fact that we got 1,350 people that have showed up in the midsummer for an election like that was good. I was guessing 1,200, and neither turnout's very good, but at least some people are paying attention, and this stuff really does matter, so thank you for Rochester for those people that came out. On top of everything else, we got a hate group coming to Rochester on August 1st, and I've been not officially organizing anything, but helping a group of people that I'm basically just trying to make sure that we handle this the right way. When hate groups come, they're basically looking for conflict, they're looking for media attention. We're trying to organize an event on August 1st. Many of you, this will have passed by the time you see this video, but we're going to try and make sure that we represent our community well, we don't engage with them, and try and take away the media attention from them. Bottom line is, as a person on the Rochester City Council, it's my duty to stand up for all the people of this community, and sometimes that's unpopular with some, but when we got a hate group coming in, I think we as a community really need to band together and show them that, Rochester is about standing up for all of our citizens, and I'm absolutely there with all the people that are being targeted by this hate group. There's a reason why I'm not mentioning their name. I hope you don't mention their name as well. That's what they want. I also, in the midst of everything else, I went up for a few days to the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities annual meeting. What you might not know is that they were a big part of the getting the LGA increases, and basically what LGA is, it's a way of taking communities that are property tax poor, and actually with all the amount of property that is non-tax paying in Rochester, we are actually a property tax poor city. And this is a way of directing some of that income and sales taxes back to the community. And basically it was created it was called the Minnesota Miracle. And what it is, it addressed fiscal disparities in communities. And for a long time, we saw particularly Tim Pawlenty cutting that LGA program, and it had a direct impact on raising all of our property taxes. And there was a very clear relationship between the two. Now that we have, we had some adults up at the Capitol this year, and they made some tough decisions. They raised some taxes, but you know what? They also funded LGA in a way that hasn't been funded for last time. And I'm still working on the finalities with staff, but I think that just about everyone in Rochester is going to see a real decrease in their City of Rochester property taxes in 2014. Can't say with absolute certainty, and it depends a little bit on values going up and values going down, but I think with new properties coming online, most people in Rochester are probably going to see a nominal property tax decrease. That means the amount that you paid for City of Rochester property taxes, forget about inflation, the amount that you're paying for City of Rochester property taxes in 2014, most of you are probably going to see it a little bit less than 2013. That's pretty cool when we can, essentially take inflation and population growth, put that aside, and actually decrease property taxes. And that's the if you want to know who's responsible for that, the state legislature, the tax bill that was passed this year, that is the reason that you're not seeing these ridiculous property tax increases. I'd like to pat myself on the back for it, but really the state finally came through for the first time in a decade with a really decent tax bill for cities, and I think that we in Rochester are going to reap the benefit of it. Another thing I did is went out recently to the Southeastern Minnesota League of Municipalities meeting in Red Wing. We as Rochester, we're kind of the regional leader down here in Southeastern Minnesota, but we try and get together with these other cities. We are stronger together, and very much realize that. And I think the great thing is that a lot of these communities are going to be supporting us for our ongoing push for the Mayo Civic Center bonding. We need to get to $38 million this year. We're pushing hard for it, and we're going to count on all the local communities to stand up with us on that. That's a lot that went on this month, and you know what? Some of you might not know is in the midst of all this too. My oldest daughter had surgery, and I had planned on hopefully doing the ride with the MS tram this year, and I wasn't able to do that. You know, which was you know, stayed here for that, and I thank the community for their support in that. I know I'm not always as responsive as I'd like to be, but that's just what I, as a city councilman, was doing in the last month, and that's just the highlights. So, you know, I thank you as always for watching these videos. I encourage your comments. I encourage your feedback. And I know many of you aren't going to see this till after the fact, but I'm looking forward to seeing a whole bunch of you tomorrow, August 1st, on the in Central Park in downtown Rochester, really coming out on a historic day and basically standing up for peace, love, and tolerance for all of the citizens and all the community members here in Rochester. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, we'll get a few more of these coming at you a little bit more regularly.